Hello, in this session we'll be studying the general aspects of the skin and fascia. Integumentary system consists of skin and its appendages. The skin has two layers, epidermis and dermis. Then these are the appendages, hair follicles, hairs, sweat glands. Sweat glands are of two types, eccrine and apocrine, sebaceous glands, nails and mammary glands. In an adult, the surface area of the skin is 1.5 to 2 square meters. The pigments in the skin are melanin, melanoid, keratin, hemoglobin and oxyhemoglobin. Functions are protection, sensory, senses wide range of sensations, touch, pain, temperature, pressure, regulation of body temperature, absorption. This is the principle of treatment of skin conditions using creams or lotions. Secretion, excretion, regulation of pH, synthesis of vitamin D, stores chlorides, and injured skin is capable of repairing itself. The thickness of the skin varies from 0.5 to 3 millimeter. The skin is composed of two distinct layers, as I said earlier. Epidermis, it has 5 layers: the stratum basale, stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, stratum lucidum, and stratum corneum. The dermis is having 2 layers: the superficial papillary dermis, which has dermal papillae, and then deep reticular dermis, made up of irregular connective tissue. And depending on the thickness of the epidermis, there are two types of skins: thick skin and thin skin. Thick skin is seen in palms and soles, and thin skin is present in the remaining area of the body. You can see here, this is the epidermis, and this is the dermis, and this is the hypodermis. You can see here, these are the dermal papillae in the papillary layer of the dermis. Correspondingly, there are epidermal ridges which fit with the dermal papillae. You can see this is a eccrine sweat gland. You can see the duct of the sweat gland opening directly onto the surface, and you can see these are the sebaceous glands which opens into the pilosebaceous unit. And this is a rector pylorum muscle. So the contraction of this muscle makes the hair stand straight. And you can see these are the vascular plexus. These are the superficial vascular plexus, and these are the deep vascular plexus. And you can see these are the nerve endings, different types of nerve endings meant for different sensations. So this is the overall picture of skin, epidermis and dermis. You can see here, this is the stratum basale, this is the stratum spinosum, and this is stratum granulosum. You can see the cells are filled with granular material. And this will be the stratum corneum. This is a typical thin skin because stratum lucidum, one more layer is there between stratum granulosum and stratum corneum, that is absent here. And you can see these are the different cells: melanocytes, Merkel cells. These are the keratinocytes, most predominant, and this is a Langerhans gene cell which acts as antigen presenting cell. So you can see here the stratum corneum. This is the stratum corneum, most superficial, 20 to 30 layers of dead flattened anucleate keratin filled cells called keratinocytes. Stratum lucidum, 2 to 3 layer of non-nucleated dead cells. And stratum granulosum, 3 to 5 layers of keratinocytes with distinct keratohyalin granules. This is the stratum granulosum, this is stratum lucidum, this is stratum corneum. And here you can see this is the stratum spinosum. So several layers of keratinocytes all are joined by desmosomes, and in between them there are Langerhans gene cells which are the antigen presenting cells. So then comes the stratum basale. So this is the germinative layer from which the remaining cell layers are being produced. So that's why it is called the stratum germinativum. The cells in the epidermis are the major predominant cells are the keratinocytes, and other cells are pigment producing melanocytes, as I've shown earlier, then antigen presenting Langerhans cells, and tactile epithelial cells called Merkel cells. You can see here. So these are the Merkel cells. So these are the Langerhans gene cells. These are the melanocytes for the skin pigmentation, and these are the keratinocytes. So dermis is having two layers, the papillary layer and reticular layer. The papillary layer, most superficial, composed of irregular connective tissue, forms dermal papillae, then contains subpapillary vascular plexus. You can see these are the papillary vascular plexus and reticular layer. So it is a deep layer of the dermis. It has irregular connective tissue. It surrounds the hair follicles. Sebaceous glands are present, sweat glands are present, erector pylorus muscles are present, nerves are present, and deep plexus of blood vessels present, which are at the junction of dermo-hypodermis junction. That is reticular layer and hypodermis. Between them, there is deep vascular plexus. Now, overview of skin structure: skin, epidermis and dermis. Epidermis, stratum basal, spinosum, granulosum, lucidum, and corneum. Lucidum is absent in thin skin. It is present only in thick skin. And stratum corneum is very thick in thick skin. Then dermis is having two parts: superficial papillary layer shows dermal papillae, and deep reticular layer showing irregular dense connective tissue. So difference between thick skin and thin skin. So stratum lucidum is present in thick skin, absent in thin skin. Thickness of epidermis is extending up to 4.5 millimeter, but here it is only 0.15 millimeter. Dermal ridges present here, it's absent. Hair follicles absent in thick skin, present in thin skin. Erector pylorus present in thin skin. Sebaceous glands present in thin skin. Sweat glands, many more in thick skin, fewer in thin skin. Sensory receptors and Merkel cells are more in thick skin, few in thin skin. So location wise, palm and sole here, remaining body. And you can see the blood supply is by two vascular plexus. Epidermis is avascular, it receives blood supply through diffusion, nutrients through diffusion. And here you can see this is the superficial plexus and this is the deep plexus. These are the two sets and connected by communicating vessels. So they supply the skin. So lymphatics, they start like blind-ended lymphatic capillaries. The superficial vessels drain into the deep dermal and subdermal plexus. So skin, in area of skin supplied by a single spinal nerve is called as dermatome. And here you can see these are the different receptors. You can see here this is a Merkel disc. Here you can see this is a Merkel disc in relation to the Merkel cell. So this is a mechanoreceptor. And here you can see the free nerve endings into the epidermis. So they sense fine touch, heat, cold, pain sensation, then hair movement. And you can see these are the Meissner's capsules for light touch, and these are the Pacinian capsules which are deep seated in the dermis for deep pressure and vibration. And here you can see the Ruffini corpuscles, so stretch and torque sensation, and you can see the Rose end bulbs for cold temperature. So these are various receptors present in the skin. So again same thing here, Rose bulbs. So here you can see Ruffini capsule, this is the Pacinian capsule, emulated Pacinian capsule. These are the Merkel's discs. This is the Meissner's capsule. So Meissner's capsules, touch vibration, Pacinian capsule, touch proprioception, pressure and vibration, Merkel discs, touch and texture, Ruffini's, touch and pressure, Crochet capsules, touch and temperature, free nerve endings, cold, warm, touch and pressure, nociceptors, pain sensation, root hair plexus, position of the hair. So tension lines, so they form a network of linear furrows which divide the surface into polygonal or lozenge shaped areas. These lines to some extent correspond to variations in the pattern of fibers in the dermis. You can see here these are the tension lines or cleavage lines or Langer's lines. So any surgical incision given parallel to this line will heal with minimal scarring. But if you give an incision perpendicular to these lines, there will be maximum scarring. So always surgeons will prefer to give incision parallel to the Langer's lines. So flexure lines or flexure creases. So these are permanent lines along which the skin folds develop during habitual movements. The skin along these lines is thin and firmly bound to deep fascia. The lines are prominent opposite the flexure of joints, particularly on the palm soles and digits. You can see these are the flexion creases or flexure lines. In papillary ridges, these are the friction ridges. If you see, these are of three basic types in humans: loops, whorls, and arches. So these are actually called fingerprints, and the study constitutes the dermatoglyphics, which have medical legal significance. So these are the papillary ridges. You can see here, this is a loop, this is a whorl, this is an arch, So in some there might be combination of these three called composite. So now coming to the appendages of skin. So the first and foremost, which is more predominant in the body, is the hair. Covers entire body except few areas. It has a shaft which projects over the surface of skin, root which is buried within the dermis, bulb which is the lowermost portion of the hair, and hair papilla which is the dermal papilla which projects into the hair bulb, and is the hair follicle, the dermis surrounding the hair bulb. You can see here. So this is the hair shaft, this is the root, and this dilated part is the bulb. So this is the dermal papilla which projects into it, and this is the hair follicle. The surrounding area is the hair follicle. So shaft, root, bulb, the part of the dermis which projects into it will be the papilla, hair papilla, and the surrounding area will be the hair follicle. So if you see basically the layers of hair, so the main hair shaft and root will have medulla, which forms the core, and surrounding the medulla will be the cortex, and surrounding that will be the cuticle. And in the hair follicle also there will be cuticle of inner root sheath, followed by Henle's layer and Huxley's layer, and then outer root sheath, and then the dermal connective tissue sheath. Let us see those layers. You can see here from the core, if we start, this is the medulla, this is the cortex, and this is the cuticle of the hair. So this is the hair. And when you come to the hair follicle, you can see here is having an inner root sheath and an outer root sheath. In the inner root sheath, the innermost layer is the cuticle of the inner root sheath, and then the Huxley's layer, and then the Henle's layer. And you can see here is the outer root sheath, and this is the surrounding connective tissue. Is the dermal papilla. So hair grows asynchronously, cyclically, and at different rates in different regions of the body. So the hair growth cycle has three major phases, as you can see: anagen, catagen, and telogen. So in anagen, what happens? It's a generally long period of mitotic activity and growth. Catagen, it's a brief period of arrested growth and regression of hair bulb. And then telogen, the final long period of inactivity during which the hair may shed. Anagen, catagen, telogen. This involves the hair growth cycle. Nails provide support to fingertips to carry out many movements. So these are the modified zones of epidermis. They contain alpha keratin. You can see here, this is the nail plate, and you can see here is the nail bed which supports the nail plate, and the proximal part of the nail bed is the matrix which helps in the growth of the nail. And you can see there is a crescent shaped white area in the nail plate, so that is the lunula. And here you can see this is the skin fold which covers the proximal part of the nail plate, that is the eponychium, and then um, below the free edge of the nail, so this skin is called as hyponychium, and on either side it's called as paronychium. So this angle between this proximal nail fold and the nail plate, so this angle is called as Lovibond angle, which has clinical significance in many diseases. This will reduce in case of clubbing. So we can do a Shamrat's test, where if you put corresponding dorsal aspect of corresponding fingers together, then we see a diamond shaped window there, that is called as Shamrat's window. In clubbing, that window is narrowed. Clubbing results due to chronic diseases which are related to respiration or cardiovascular, which reduces oxygen content in the blood, which results in excessive proliferation of soft tissue in the nail bed, resulting in decrease in the Lovibond angle and resulting in Shamrat's test positive. The other accessory structures are sebaceous glands. So these secrete sebum, and they have sebocytes. So they secrete through holocrine secretion, and the secretion is oily substance. They open into pilosebaceous units. You can see here. So this is a sebaceous gland opening directly to the pilosebaceous unit. You can see here, this is a sebaceous gland opening into the pilot sebaceous gland. Here you can see this is the sweat gland which is opening directly onto the skin. This is the duct of the sweat gland. So sweat glands, almost all areas there are eccrine sweat glands. So in the dermis, the sweat that is mostly watery, which is secreted on the skin surface, its evaporation provides an important mechanism for cooling the body. So apocrine sweat glands, these are restricted to the axilla and perineum. They have wide lumen than eccrine glands, and they develop after puberty and secrete protein-rich sweat onto the hair or hair follicles. So then you can see here the difference between eccrine or merocrine sweat glands and the apocrine sweat glands. The secretion here is merocrine, and here the apical part of the cell is discharged into the hair follicle. So empty directly into the skin surface. So it is located in armpits, groin, and nipple. So it is secreting viscous, cloudy secretion. Here it is clear watery secretion. So the location of the merocrine sweat glands is almost all over the body. So the secretion from the apocrine sweat glands, which are present in the armpits, axilla, and the groin, this begins after puberty. These are also stimulated during emotional distress. So the apical part is being shed, apocrine sweat glands, and this is the merocrine sweat glands. So then, after the skin, whatever lies below that, immediately after affecting only the skin layer, is the superficial fascia. What you are seeing here is the superficial fascia. It's a fibrous mesh filled with fat, connects the dermis to the underlying layer of deep fascia. Fat is the main constituent of the superficial fascia, but it is absent in certain areas like eyelids, pin of the ear, and scrotum. Then, in lower animals, if you see, there is subcutaneous muscle called panicles carnosus. But this is not present in humans all over the body. It is present at some places like in the scalp, face, and scrotum. You can see here this is the skin followed by superficial fascia connecting skin to the deep fascia. You can see this is the mammary gland which is present in the superficial fascia. Deep fascia, it's a dense inelastic sheet. Remember, dense inelastic sheet or membrane which separates superficial fascia from underlying structures. It invests and binds structures named according to the regions like pectoral fascia and pectoral region, cervical fascia and cervical region, pelvic fascia and pelvic region. So modifications of the deep fascia in certain places in order to hold the muscles and tendons, it has modified into different structures like aponeurosis in the palm, it is called palmar aponeurosis. In the sole, it is called plantar aponeurosis. Intermuscular septa to compartmentalize flexor and extensor compartments. Retinacula, flexor and extensor retinacula in the respective compartments. Let us see certain structures. See here, this was the skin, then this is the superficial fascia, and this is the deep fascia covering the muscles. So here you can see this is the retinaculum which is being formed here. It's a modification of the deep fascia. So you can see here, this is a medial intermuscular septum and this is a lateral intermuscular septum, and this is the flexor compartment and this is the extensor compartment. See, it is compartmentalizing the muscles so that extensor can do extension and flexors can do flexion. You can see this is the flexor retinaculum at the wrist which holds the flexor tendons and some structures. So this forms a tunnel here, carpal tunnel along with the carpus. So this is the flexor retinaculum, and you can see in the neck this deep fascia forms a sheet which holds the neurovascular bundle called carotid sheath. And here you can see this is the plantar aponeurosis, and here you can see this is the fibrous flexor sheets. This is the intraosseous membrane. It is also a modification of the deep fascia. So all these intraosseous membrane, fibrous flexor sheath, aponeurosis, carotid sheath, holding the neurovascular bundle, flexor retinaculum, then intermuscular septa. All these are the modifications of deep fascia. So now coming to the applications of the skin. So it is not possible to cover a 3-year specialty, which is MD dermatology, in a single class, that in last 10 minutes. So I will show you a few common conditions which are encountered with the skin. So one of the most commonest will be the sebaceous cyst, the most commonest place in the skull. The other area will be the scrotum. And then here you can see the acne vulgaris. And in this you can see the scabies, which is caused by mites. And here you can see a keloid. And here you can see the fungal infection of the nail. So here you can see this is the vitiligo. So in this you can see a patch of the skin is not having hair. So this is called as alopecia areata. So general alopecia is the baldness, but the spot, the hair loss in the pattern of spots is called as alopecia areata. And the most important condition is the burns. So if you see the grading, the first degree burns involves only the epidermis, second degree burns involves epidermis and dermis, mostly the superficial dermis. Third degree burns involves epidermis, dermis and underlying tissue also. So there is a rule of 9 in adults to grade the burns. So if you see head neck, entire region is 9%. So in front and behind the upper limb, each 9%. So here you can see here also 9% and backside 9%. And if you see here in front, it is 18%, and behind the trunk also it is 18%. Here in the limb, you can see this is 18% each. 18% each. So this is the rule of 9. And in the perineal region, it is 1%. Total, it comes to 100%. Thank you.